All right, I will call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone to our Williamsport City Council meeting. It's Thursday, December 4th. We're in Trade Transit 2, 3rd floor. Please rise for the invocation by Councilman Randy Allison, followed by the flag salute.
Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight with grateful hearts as we quickly and quietly come to the end of our fiscal year. Lord, we pray for your wisdom as always. We pray that you guide us and lead us, Lord. And we're grateful tonight, grateful that in our city we're taking part in the holiday season. And it's a blessed time and we all enjoy it. But Lord, help us to be mindful tonight. There are so many people that don't have the abilities and the opportunities that we have. And a lot of those people are hurting tonight. We pray, Lord, that we'll have hearts of compassion, that will look for places, Lord, and individuals that need our help, that we'll be aware of that. And we pray for that blessing upon them. This holiday season comes to an end, that many will be stronger, Lord God, and helped along the way. And we ask it tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. They're usually reversed to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the record, they are usually reversed. And they've been that reversed for the 6 years that I've been on council. So
Yeah.
Habits die hard. Good catch.
We're gonna get called on that.
Well, we're absolutely going to get called on that, and that's fine. So that was not out of malice for anything, but that is what it is. So all right. Item 3, approval of city council meeting minutes from November 6th, 2025. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Any comments, questions, changes to the minutes? We'll take a roll call vote for the minutes. Mr. Allison?
Yes.
Mr. Mackey?
Yes.
No Bonnie, right? Mr. Plizzi?
Yes.
Ms. Mealy?
Yes.
Mr. Yoder? Yes. Motion passes 5-0. We'll move to item 4. We have a proclamation for Ann Nordell, and while Ms. Mealy is noted on the agenda, I'll welcome the mayor to the podium to kick this one off for us. Mr. Mayor, good evening, sir.
Good evening, President Yoder, members of council and the administration. I'll read into the record the mayoral proclamation for Ann Nordell, and then I'm sure others, and we'll bring Ann up and I'll present the proclamation to her. So I'll just read it first. Mayoral proclamation, whereas Ann and Eric Nordell have been growing food in and for our community for nearly 40 years. Since they first moved to our area and established Beech Grove Farm in the early 1980s in Cogan House, and they have always cultivated strong roots in the Williamsport community with their passion for growing quality organic food. Whereas the Nordells have continuously supported a community-driven approach to sustainable foods in our region via starting and sustaining what has become our vibrant Williamsport Growers Market, instead of settling for selling their exceptional quality produce in a more lucrative urban market. Whereas the Nordells have redefined the meaning and the method of true organic farming for the farming community nationwide, via educating others, not just locally, but nationally, in their celebrated growing methods, and Ann and Eric have contributed to the agricultural world as charter members of PASA, the Pennsylvania Association for Sustainable Agriculture, and have made sure that their farming knowledge and experience was available for the benefit of others. Whereas providing for the community has always been paramount to the Nordells' approach to farming, with the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank being a frequent recipient of food contributions from Beech Grove Farm because, as Ann says, and I quote, Everyone deserves good food, end quote. Whereas Anne, in her role as the market vendor of the family, had a vision for what our growers market could be and worked to grow the market with more vendors and more people. The farm to table / farm to fork idea was new, but Anne enlisted some local chefs to do some demonstrations in order to promote and showcase the interesting products available and sample some food while highlighting the chefs. Whereas this led to a Penn College collaboration with the Williamsport Growers Market in the early 2000s that allowed students to create demonstrations with donated food from the vendors and influenced a continuous passion on the part of the Penn College culinary program for local foods and products. Whereas Anne and the Growers Market also helped to establish a scholarship at Penn College in memory of Mary Ditchfield, a dear friend to many who also worked at the market. Whereas Williamsport, the Williamsport Growers Market, our region, and our nation have all benefited thanks to Ann and Eric Nordell having chosen to settle on the small, fertile Beech Grove farm in Cogan House and build their lives here. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the city of Williamsport thanks the Nordells for their contributions to building our thriving community and local food scene and helping to ensure access to healthy food for all people in our city and region, and acknowledges that Ann and Eric Nordell's roots run deep here and we are all better for it. And be it further resolved that this proclamation is set to my hand and seal this 4th day of December 2025. And so if we could just thank, if Ann could come up, please, and if we could just thank her for all of her contributions.
Well, thank you, and I'm really very honored and humbled. I've always felt that everybody should have access to really high quality local foods. And that was one reason why we got involved with the Williamsport Farmers Market. They're over 30 years ago, and we've tried to achieve that. And I think the growers market has really brought together the entire community. Every neighborhood comes to that market from all over and the surrounding communities. We get people from Lewisburg, Selinsgrove, Wellsboro, Lock Haven, but it's the locals that really support this market. And I'm so thankful. And I'm thankful for the city that has supported us through all these years. Thank you.
They probably want to say something. I'll turn it back over. I'm sure council has, but I just want to say thank you. I've been to the market many times over the years with my children as well. So thank you for all of your contributions to a great market. And I'll turn it back over to council as well.
Randy gets first shot. He's retiring.
And any comments from members of council? Randy,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Yeah, what the growers market means to our community, I believe it's beyond the food that's offered, which is excellent. The products there, the care and the expertise that people have and offer it to us. But I saw more than that. It's a community coming together. It's people meeting each other and then getting to know each other, and the vendors that we say we because I have a small part following my wife around there, but the sense that we can share about our personal lives, we can share about things we're interested in. That's hard to find a lot of times in this day and age. An experience that will bring people together in a positive way. I wish we could just manufacture that and sell it across the country, we'd be a much better place for it. And the Nordells and what they've meant to us all by spearheading that, we're forever grateful to them for that. And it's my prayer and hope that this keeps on and as an honor to them, and that others will be able to step in and do the same thing. So thank you very much, Anne, wherever you are.
Ms. Mealy?
Yeah. I had a feeling, Randy might say it better. And, yeah, so started cooking for a living probably about 20 years ago, but around 20. But the first time, and how long have you been selling to my restaurant? That's what I thought. Yeah. So I have memories of Ann Nordell going in and out of the basement of the restaurant, dropping off lettuce from when I was a kid. And so in many ways, I've had a relationship with Ann since back when I still thought she was Peggy Cronin. Sorry, Ann. Used to get you two confused. So I was fortunate when I moved back to Williamsport and started cooking for a living that we had an established relationship with a local grower at my restaurant. And I was exceptionally fortunate that that local grower turned out to be a grower that frankly grows some of the best produce I've ever had anywhere in the country. And that's a pretty remarkable thing. We are very fortunate in our area how much access to good food we have. And I don't know that we ever appreciate that, because there are things that go along with that, like being a rural community in ways that some people find, challenging. But I think it's wonderful because we have all these great growers, I can't really overstate how lucky I've been to get to spend time with Anne, and to a vastly lesser extent, Eric Nordell, over the last 20 years. And I've learned a lot from Anne. I've complained a lot to Anne, and I value that relationship. And I certainly hope that it continues. And I value the food community within our city that Anne has helped to build. Because without that, frankly, it wouldn't be anywhere near as much fun to be a cook for a living. What you can only cook what you have to work with, and when you are gifted with the best produce in the country, then that really gives you a great starting point. And I bet you, Steve, can echo that, because yeah. And I'm not the only one in Williamsport who buys from Ann, not by a long stretch. And we are lucky. Thank you, Ann.
As a transplant, not being from Williamsport, not growing up here, I can tell you there's a lot of awesome things that drew me not only to Williamsport to come to college, but drew me back here after living in a lot bigger cities to lay roots down here. And the farmers market's one of them. And I apologize. Farmers market's been ingrained in my brain since I was a little kid. As you saw with the flag, old habits die hard. I know the term is growers market. But what's amazing about it to me, Councilman Allison referenced that sense of community that's there. And that is a real draw. And especially for me too, on the paternal side of my family, agriculture is a big thing. I lived on a farm, not a lot of people know this, for 5 or 6 years. That farm's been in my family for 5 or 6 generations. I really value what I can access at the farmer's market for a number of different reasons. So the beautiful thing about it for me and my family is that, at least for me, it gives me a semblance of where I'm from and the roots that I came from in a really good way. And so I am continuously grateful for the farmer's market, and to the Nordells, just can't thank you enough for your contributions in getting it to where it is. I hope that it continues, and as long as I'm sitting here, I will always be happy to support that growers market as best as I can. It's a true asset for the city. As the mayor mentioned, it brings people in from a lot of places. It cultivates the community that makes Williamsport special and that is lacking in a lot of other areas, not only of the state, but the country. So extremely grateful to you. Thank you for what you've done for it. Can't thank you enough. Ms. Mealy.
I should add two further things. One is that as a native Williamsporter, I have many friends who have moved to other communities throughout Pennsylvania and throughout the country. And I don't think that there's a one of them who isn't excited to come back and go to the growers market, which is a kind of unusual thing. But I've had my brother, for instance, makes it to the farmers market, growers market every time he comes back to Williamsport from Baltimore. And many of the people that I spend time with here who don't live here anymore say that it's the best farmers market they've been to. So we're fortunate there. The other thing that I wanted to mention relates to the food bank. It is December and the food bank is in need, and they can make 4 meals with every dollar you donate. So as long as we're talking about food access and food scarcity in the city, and I think it's come up twice tonight already, I would encourage everyone to consider making a donation toward the end of the year to the food bank, because they could certainly put your money to good use. Thank you.
John, Vince, any comments you two would like to share? No worries. Well, thank you again, the Nordells. We're grateful for it. Mayor, thank you for spearheading the proclamation. Well deserved. I believe there are some refreshments in the other room that the Nordells and our friends here in the back that have come to support you are able to partake, celebrate, etc.
Yep. I mean, anybody who's hungry, I brought about 1 million cupcakes back there. So there are cupcakes in the back room if anybody came here a little peckish. But in the meantime, thank you all for coming, and thank you, Ann, for 40+ years of good farming here in the community. And I'm going to hold you to that thing about growing some stuff for me next year. Thank you.
Give them a couple minutes.
Yeah.
That's okay.
My God, we're still reading about term limits, huh? That's you poor vote. Nobody can ever hear me with the microphone. So. But the sniffling, the cold. If I get dual credit, people will think I'm a lot less heartless than they usually do. Yeah, I actually do get a little emotional anymore with the kids somehow.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is. Kids change in a lot of ways, and that's one of
Needs
them.
to happen.
Yeah. All right. Item 5, limited courtesy of the floor. I don't recall any requests tonight. We will jump to item 6, Mrs. Frank.
An ordinance amending Article 111, 123, 129, 131 of the codified ordinances, term limits, and final reading.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Mackey. Second reading. The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, it's just been a long road, but we're here at the second reading. First iteration was vetoed, as everybody knows, by the mayor. We went back to the drawing board, had a lot of good discussions, I think, and we're at where we're at now. So again, just to remind everybody, this will set term limits for the treasurer, for the controller, for city council, and for the mayor. Mayors will be 2 terms or 8 years. That's non-consecutive. or consecutively, so somebody can conceivably take a break for 4 years and come back and run again. City council for 3 terms, 12 years, as well as the treasurer and the controller. And obviously, we put that language in this version of the ordinance that will allow a couple elected officials to still run for a 3rd term if they so choose. So that's kind of where we're at. So I guess speak now or forever hold your peace.
Any comments or questions from members? All right, I have a couple, and then we can certainly take the vote. I prepared them, so if this seems a little practice, bear with me. So, John kind of alluded to this, speak now, forever hold your peace. And I think a lot of the dialogue that's been taking place through this definitely drove a lot of discussion in the media, social media, and I think pockets in the community. And I'm glad to see that, notably on something that council's voting on, but I think there's some pockets of our dialogue that are important to at least make sure are kind of revisited, at least in the record. And I want to preface all these with 2 points. First, professionally and personally, I admire and respect every one of you sitting up here, members of the administration. So, and over the 6 years sitting here, working together with a lot of issues that we've gone through, right? And are unique and not unique to Williamsport. That respect is forged in the trenches. So nothing's a negative reflection of anybody or any decision making on this issue. And then second, politically, I think it's important to say this too. I'm not going to be a candidate for mayor. And so nothing I'm saying is about political posturing here. There's a compelling practical case to this. All right. There's a real reform here that establishes term limits moving forward. There's I believe, and why I was excited about this initially, a problem of entrenchment that we've seen with elected officials across the board. This minimizes that. And with the challenges I think the city faces now, is going to continue to face with limited political capital, with serious financial constraints. There's a strong case for this with prudent governments in taking achievable reform rather than holding out for perfection, right? And I absolutely get that, but I still have some reluctance. And it's that inclusion of this language that allows a few people to run beyond what they would normally be able to because of this ordinance. And I think it's problematic for 2 different reasons. I think it actually creates unequal application here. There's an argument that there's 2 classes of officials now, a couple now, and then everybody that comes after. And it's rooted in a 30-year-old Supreme Court case that included a hypothetical argument about political bias. I don't think any of this has been political. This has had consistent bipartisan support. It impacts office holders of both parties. And frankly, we have a majority Republican council at the moment, and it affects more Republicans than Democrats. Could we face a lawsuit? We certainly could. But I think the case for equal application is important. And I want to clear the air that I don't think there was political bias in this at all. Okay. And second, and more importantly, I think when we talk about how we govern, I think I still believe this. This is part of the dialogue that we had during the first try at this. I still believe we need to build a culture in city government about thinking of about these governance issues differently. When in my 6 years sitting here, when we face legal vagueness or risk, we revert back to the safe path, the traditional path. Even when we have more flexibility than regular 3rd-class cities as an optional 3rd-class charter. And I believe that risk aversion is a root cause of what we're facing now. Budget deficits, federal state investigations, the Nichols scandal, where a career bureaucrat was able to accumulate unchecked power because the governance structure enabled it.
And I want to be clear about what I'm not saying. I'm not saying voting yes reflects a lack of principle. Voting yes reflects a legitimate judgment that the practical reform that we have here matters more than perfect application. It's not a bad ordinance. It's genuinely good that will improve governance moving forward. And I'm not trying to kill it. I'm confident it will pass, and I'm sure it will pass. But what I am saying is I think the institutional record needs to show that equal application mattered enough to at least be brought forward in second try of passing this reform, even when the reform itself is viable and valuable. 5, 10 years from now, if this is ever revisited, it's working and tweaked again, maybe somebody looks back and says Yoder was right. That grandfather clause was stupid. Or maybe they'll say he's too rigid. The practical reform of this mattered more. That's all possible and fine. But either way, I think it's important that both positions of this are in the record for the future. And more broadly, there's been debate about whether term limits are good at all, whether in light of the nickel scandal, we need more oversight, not less. I think the 7 of us, the 5 of us that are here, the 2 others that could not make it tonight, clearly think it's a good idea. And I'm in that camp. That support for me is rooted in the governance issues that enabled, in my view, the Nichols scandal. Okay. The reason we're dealing with $1 million fines from the feds, audits behind schedule, state federal investigations, being pressured by state federal authorities on RVTA, all of that happened because a career bureaucrat was enabled to have too much power because our governance system allowed it. One person held multiple jobs where clear guardrails were lacking and ethics issues were prevalent, and the governance structure that enabled it was codified into our local laws. It wasn't until these last 2 councils that any of that was addressed. We've addressed some of those issues from the perspective of at least personal staff, right? We have better say as council and department heads who fills them, what they oversee, how long they can serve in the interim, but we haven't done that from an elected perspective. And why I was excited about and continue to be excited about this reform is we need to do that. As Councilman Mackey had said, we're not precluding anyone from running again after the term expires, but we're ensuring breaks happen to eliminate staleness and bring new perspective. We've structured these to where institutional wisdom can be built, technical expertise can be accumulated. Hopefully, we're establishing norms. People may be surprised that 2- and 3-term mayors are actually a rarity in city government. Hopefully, this makes that more of a norm that I believe, do need. And even with the reservations I have about the language, I think it finds a reasonable balance. But the underlying principle, I think, is important. Rules should apply to those who make them. Matters for our institutional culture. Not enough to kill the reform, but enough to be on record as having stood for it. I respect the passing of the ordinance and I appreciate the reform. I understand the reason behind the inclusion of language. I just think we need to say that equal application matters, even when it's costly. And I'll end my soapbox here with this, and we can take the vote. As we move forward, we as council, we as the administration, we need to continue to be comfortable having these discussions and addressing these issues. Each time we've had the opportunity to address governance reform, it's been vetoed by the mayor and it's faced public pushback, right? And the first reading of this, we didn't even really have any kind of public dialogue with the administration, which is unfortunate. So, and to be frank, I'm not really convinced the majority of the public has strong opinions either way on these. But those that do make it more challenging. It does for me, and I know it does for others, right? We should still do these things because they're right, they're needed, and that's why we're here in these positions, to do the hard things that need to be done, whether they're popular or not. So this is going to pass tonight. It's a good thing for Williamsport. Establishes term limits going forward, creates healthier rotation in our elected officials. It's real reform. But while it's good, I think we may be crippling the underlying principle that makes term limits valuable in the first place. But even with that, I'm grateful for all of you putting the work in on this, the dialogue we've had over now 4 readings. I'm excited to see where this goes over the next 5-10 years, how this works, and frankly, how a future council might enhance it or adapt it. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it. Mrs. Frank on the vote?
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Mackey,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
No. Second reading passes 4-1. Thank you all. All right, item 7, Mrs. Frank.
An ordinance amending Article 709, Article 711, Article 1344 of the codified ordinances of the city of Williamsport, Lycoming County in final reading.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Nar, good evening, sir. The floor is yours.
Good evening, President Yoder, members of council. It's a straightforward second reading. I really don't have anything to add. This is just merely putting us in line with the PLCB that enforces throughout the state noise enforcement inside and outside of the facilities that licensed them.
Any additional comments, questions for Mr. Nar? Okay, here you see none, Mrs. Frank. Item 7, please.
Mr. Allison.
Yes.
Mr. Mackey,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Nar. Item 8, Mrs. Frank.
An ordinance amending Article 189 Ways Garden Commission of the codified ordinances of the city of Williamsport, Lycoming County in final reading.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. This was Vice President Biters. He's not here, so I'll cover it. I really don't have anything to add on this one, so. Any comments or questions? All right,
I think we all agreed, even when we appointed the last member to the commission, that
Yeah.
that this was something that was necessary. So.
all right, Mrs. Frank, on item 8, please.
Mr. Allison.
Yes.
Mr. Mackey.
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 9, Mrs. Frank.
An ordinance amending various operating budgets for the city of Williamsport, including the general fund, emergency and reserve fund, capital projects fund, city hall operating fund, liquid fuels, debt services fund, and Act 13 in first reading.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Livermore, good evening.
Good evening, council. You have before you the ordinance to adopt the operating budgets for the city of Williamsport. As Janice just said, of course, we've had 2 budget sessions where we've discussed the budget topics. I'll turn it over to you guys. You guys have the numbers there, unless you want me to read each of the numbers.
No, you don't need to read each of the numbers. And first off, Jamie, thank you for your work putting this in. I picked these budgets up Friday at about 5-ish, and you were still putting other stuff together related to the budget. You've worked pretty hard on this one. You've worked hard on the ones you've been involved in since you've been here. I'm grateful for it. And for a rare time that I'll speak for everybody, I know we're all grateful for it. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, wait, I didn't tell you I was.
You are today. No. So as Jamie said, we've had 2 budget sessions on this. And I think the past couple of years, we've pretty openly recognized what this was going to look like and come to, right? And I'll be the one to say this too, in the past, I don't know that we've seen the plan to address it in prior budgets. And we're starting to see that in this budget, right? We've gone through a process with PFM that was supported by DCD, spearheaded by the mayor and the administration. That was rooted in our ask at the end of last budget. And so while, I think there might be additional tweaks we want to do in second reading to help put us in a better position going into the 2027 budget. This is as good of a starting point for this that I could have imagined for this year, knowing where we were coming from after last year's budget. And frankly, it's probably a little bit better than what I expected in a couple of areas. And so, I'll open it for other comments or questions on the budget, but I suspect will be, aside from some tweaks and changes next Thursday that I think a handful of us are still kind of working through and figuring out. We're in a decent spot over the next couple of years in terms of strategy to get from this point to hopefully a better fiscal position, including some larger initiatives that we're hoping to get off the ground late this year, early next year related to home rule. And that being the big one to position us for better fiscal health. So any other comments, questions from members, I'll certainly open the floor, but.
I do also want to say, I think Gordon is on the phone. He did join the meeting just for this tonight. So I think he is on Zoom as well, in case you guys had any questions for him.
And let's put Gordon on the spot.
Yeah, so he is there. Sorry, Gordon.
Well, if others have questions for Gordon, he is on Zoom, and I thank you for the reminder. I forgot about that. I will just say, I've said this a couple times publicly. I continue to be impressed with the job PFM's doing. I get why DCD recommended them. I get why, DCD has a lot of faith in them. I will publicly say again, I hope that they're around at least for another year. I think we need them. I think, Jamie, you need them. I think members of the administration council needs them. So thank you, Gordon, for not only the contractual work you're doing, but I think you've gone above and beyond in a few areas, and I'm grateful for it. I wish we had you here the first time we did this, to be frank.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's been good working with you, and I'm optimistic we'll continue to get to do so. And of course, our final report comes out in January, so you haven't seen the last of us yet.
You're here. Any comments, questions on item 9 by members? Mr. Mackey.
Jamie, while you're up there, I know you sent an email. Could you just confirm where in the streets department you added that extra overtime for public safety?
Sure. Let me just pull that up. I'm sorry. So I did resend you guys a new budget. It would be on page, I think 21. I'm sorry, that's not true. Should be under streets and traffic, if I can find streets and
That's
traffic.
38. I'm on 38. I don't know if the numbers have
Yeah.
changed.
My page 38 doesn't show streets and traffic, so I apologize. In your book, it should be under the overtime line item under streets and traffic. I don't see it in my book right now. I apologize.
No, that's fine. And do you remember the total? Was it
I added 25,000. I don't remember what it was prior to.
okay.
I think it's 60 now. It was 60, so now it's 85.
85.
Yes, sorry.
And we're confident that that's going to cover us until we get these okay. Right. Okay, great. Thank you. And sorry to put you on the spot like
No,
that.
sorry, my book is not, it's not in complete order here.
Any other questions, comments? Ms. Mealy.
Just a quick question. My memory was jogged by the one about commercial insurance in your email, Jamie. Are we still exclusively with Gallagher for our insurance?
Yeah, they're our agent.
Right.
So yes, but they have multiple different vendors, but yes, right now we are currently with Gallagher.
And I'm excited to see that it was 60,000 less.
Yes, that what the workers' comp was. Yes, that was good.
Yeah, that's great. That said, it's been a while since
Yes, I do think that Donna and I actually just talked about that today. We're probably going to do an RFP next year. It was, I think, 2023. I think Molly did the last one, right? The first year that I was here, I think she did one.
Oh, and Gallagher, I must have missed that. Gallagher still won that contract. Kind of.
I think so, yeah.
All right. Well, obviously.
Yes, I didn't do insurance at that point,
Yeah.
so, but I believe they were before I took over, yeah.
Well, yeah, I think every 3 years strikes me as probably kind of an
Yeah.
ideal thing for RFPs for any
Yep.
service.
And Donna and I discussed that today, actually, and we both agreed that we'll probably do one maybe first quarter, second quarter of next year, beginning the process.
Great, awesome, fantastic. And I see that we did build in 50,000 for a home rule commission match. So thank you for that, although not through Act 13. That's
No,
one of
it's
the
not
few things you-
eligible. Act 13 funds aren't eligible to be used for that.
It's one of the only
because it-
things you can't use Act 13.
Yes, yes. And I actually didn't even think about that until after the meeting, so.
Got it. All right, well, yeah, I would second what Adam says. I do think there are a handful of changes to make, but not too many, and that we, I would personally prefer to have, that we have a bit more time to discuss them before we go for it. But yeah, I think it's a decent budget. Thank you for your efforts, Gordon, although I would underline the fact that it is only a decent budget if we can realize increasing our revenues in 2 years' time. As Gordon highlighted, it's a budget that builds what I still consider a relatively shaky bridge to 2027, when we ideally find some new revenue sources. And what that means is that it is on us to find some new revenue sources before 27. And the only source that we've located that seems capable of meeting that gap is to transition to a home rule municipality. So that puts, I think, the onus on us to make that happen here, or risk, running a bridge to nowhere, which is not a great position to be in. All right, thanks, Adam.
If I could, I would just add that, in agreement with everything that's been said so far, I'd like to add that to Councilwoman Mealy's point, that finding additional revenue sources, but also looking to eliminate inefficiencies internally and find ways that we can keep a hold of more of the city's money.
Here. Any other final comments, questions before we take the vote? Okay, Mrs. Frank, item 9, first reading, please.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Mackey,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 10, Mrs. Frank.
Ordinance of the City of Williamsport, County of Lycoming, and Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, fixing the tax rate for all city purposes for the year 2026 in first reading.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Livermore.
Hello again. This ordinance, as Janice just said, is for the 2026 tax rate, to fix the 2026 tax rate. The millage we have in there as 17.55. And this was in the budget sessions as well.
All right. As Ms. Livermore said, the budget has a $500,000 tax increase. Look, none of us like it, right? We've all pretty openly the past few years have said, none of us like tax increases, right? But kind of linking to a lot of the comments that we made with the budget ordinance, and notably Ms. Mealy's comments with home rule, we to provide the level of service that we need to operate this city. Unfortunately, we need it. And frankly, I'll be shocked if there's not another one in the 2027 budget to get us through over the bridge strategy that PFM has developed and outlined and is reflected here, right? I don't like it. I'm planning to vote for it. I think most of us will. I don't want to put words into people's mouths. That's the sense that I had a couple days ago, right? Hopefully, it's a means to an end. I'll circle back on Ms. Mealy's comments. The path out of this is home rule from a revenue perspective. And frankly, that's what this strategy relies on. Hopefully, we can get that going, get it intelligently designed by a good commission, and get it passed to where we have more taxing flexibility and more autonomy in our tax laws compared to what Harrisburg gives us, to where we not only maybe can hold where we're at on property taxes, but it get to a point where we actually can realistically provide some relief down the road, right? That's a huge win. And while I don't know that it's immediately feasible, with home rule, I believe it's feasible and we could get there. And so while I don't like this tax increase, unfortunately, the strategy calls for it, and I support the strategy. I hope that in a couple years, we can get to a point where we don't need to do this. It would be amazing.
Mhm.
It would be amazing. So I'll open the floor for other comments from members, but Ms. Beely.
I'm just going to point out that yes, it is a tax increase budget. And I have spent years advocating for steady, small, gradual tax increases as a way to lessen the impact to the taxpayer in the long run. So I am in agreement with the tax increase, and I'm glad to see it be as small as it is under the circumstances. But to achieve that, we have sacrificed a number of things, including about $750,000 worth of funding within our capital projects budget that would have made it possible for us to buy new equipment in the coming years. As well as a contribution to our emergency and reserve fund that would have given us a bit better cushion to address levy and Graffius run concerns. We have trimmed money and our bottom line, which I believe we're dropping by what, 1.4? Yeah, so we will be $1.4 million not in the red, but we will have lost that from our fund balance at the end of the 26 budget year. So that is to say that we have made up for about $3 million worth of deficit spending by stealing it from places in the budget that it couldn't really come from in order to implement only a $500,000 tax increase. I mention this not because I am advocating for a higher tax increase this year, but so that we appreciate the extent to which we cannot continue to do this and operate a financially stable city. We knew that we would have a $3 million deficit going into this budget year. We have met that by spending from our reserves. And that is something that no one can do in the long run because we cannot increase our debt ceiling if it needs to be increased, and we cannot spend more than we take in. That's just not something that's financially feasible for a municipality. We don't print money here, and so we need to figure out another strategy, and we need to figure it out fast. And thanks to Gordon, we have one that we are moving toward. But
But I'll also chime in and preface it with this. I mean, like, so you're right. We're using a combination of a tax increase, operational cuts. Those operational cuts are predominantly capital improvements, right? And then we're using one-time reserves. There are a number of strategies that PFM outlined in public sessions that, maybe we make some changes in going into the second reading to put us in a better position next year. But even if we didn't do that, they're going to have to be parts of the 2027 budget. And that's a tax increase. That's attrition. That are health insurance changes. There are a number of them that we need to see in 2027. So we're actually going to get a report from Gordon in January that outlines the final official findings, right? What's going on? What are the strategies we would recommend you do, et cetera, et cetera. I hope this council accepts that and at least establishes a policy of, hey, we're on board with this plan. We need to see these to at least show that, hey, we as council, we're doing our part in solving this issue and getting to a better place, right? And so I say all of that a year ahead of the 2027 budget because frankly, I expect the 2027 budget to be, I don't want to say uglier, but it's going to be harder. There's going to be harder things we're going to see that that none of us are really going to like, right? Let's get it out there now. So here. Any other comments, questions on first reading of the tax ordinance? All right. Here you can see none. Mrs. Frank, item 10, please.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Mackey,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 11, Mrs. Frank.
Resolution for various insurance needs for policy year 1126 through policy year 1127.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Livermore.
Good evening again. This resolution covers the various insurance needs for the city for January 1st, 2026 through January 1st, 2027. There's not a ton of changes here. I mean, there's always somewhat of an increase, but the workers' comp is what, like Liz said earlier, we did anticipate that being about $60,000 higher, and our agent was able to get it down a little bit lower. So I did adjust the budget numbers for that extra $60,000. Do you guys have any questions on the commercial insurance?
Any comments or questions for Ms. Livermore?
I think I already asked him. Sorry for going out of turn.
All right. Hearing and seeing none, then Mrs. Frank, item 11.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Mackey,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Livermore.
Thank you.
Item 12, we have a real estate reduction. I'm actually gonna ask Solicitor Grimes to kind of help me through these next three. And let me first say, I missed your last meeting that you were at, but it's I don't want to say awkward is the right word, but it's kind of full circle to see you sitting there. When I remember, being in Jonah's seat in 2019, kind of watching the budget sessions and, sitting in the treasurer's office, you welcoming John and I onto council, and to kind of see the process you've gone through to, professionally position yourself is awesome. I'm really proud to see you sitting here as our solicitor tonight. And I'm really thankful you're where you're at to continue to serve the city. We're better for it. And I'm really glad we are not losing you.
Well, thank you. And that was much nicer than just awkward. So,
Awkward's not the right word, but full circle very much is, and it's good.
and I'm happy to help through these, put my treasurer hat back on.
Here, here. Walk us through the real estate reduction, Nick.
So it looks like the first one here is a real estate reduction for repository sales. And this is something that you're required to reduce the amount if you accept the repository bid. So the county has 2 tax sales. And if a property doesn't sell at either of those tax sales, then it goes on a repository list. And a repository list just means we're done with the bidding. Nobody wants it. It sits here and we can accept any bid for it. And generally, people want to get that out of the county's hands and get a buyer for that property. So what happens is then when there's a repository bid, that has to be accepted. But what happens with the repository bid is that changes the assessed value of that property to whatever the repository bid is. So I won't go through each of these because you have the list, but you can see that for the first one, for example, it looks like it was a repository sale where somebody bid $910 on it. And so that property that has likely sat vacant, has sat through 2 tax sales, sat on a repository list, now changes from an $8,400 assessment down to a $910 assessment, because that's what the bid that was accepted for the repository sale was. And that's the same for each of these.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any comments or questions?
Adam, you need a motion?
Sorry, motion a second.
Second.
Motion a second. Any comments or questions on the motion after the fact? Sorry about that. All right, Mrs. Frank, take the vote, please.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Mackey,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 4-0. Item 13. Is there a motion a second for the real estate interim exoneration? So moved. Solicitor Grimes, will you walk us through this one as well? It's been a little bit since we've had one of these, I think. So.
And I don't know the whole history of this property, but obviously everybody's here is familiar with the LERTA ordinance. You just went through that recently. And the LERTA ordinance is an abatement of taxes based on new construction. So the base of whatever that property was is still taxable, but there's a diminishing schedule of real estate tax reduction just for the improvement of those properties. So it appears that this is a property that was approved for LERTA. There was an increase in the assessed value of that property due to the new construction that qualified under LERTA. In certain circumstances, when there's new construction on a property, an interim bill will be issued because you're billed ahead for your real estate taxes. So the bill you get in March, your municipal bill goes through the end of the year until December. But if you build a $100,000 addition in July, then the city will need to recapture that addition from July until the end of the year because you've already been billed. So this is a property that was approved for LERTA. There was an improvement and then a 4-month interim bill issued for the 4 months that the improvement was there, but the prior bill didn't capture. Now that bill has to be issued if it's part of the tax duplicate. But in this case, because it was all new additional development, which all qualifies for LERTA, that's a full abatement on this additional assessed value. So really, essentially what it's saying here is this property owner developed just over $58,000 in their property under the LERTA program. And now in year 1, that's being exonerated under the LERTA program that was approved.
All right. Any comments or questions? All right. Hearing and seeing none, Mrs. Frank, item 13, please.
Mr. Allison.
Yes.
Mr. Mackey.
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi.
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 4-0. Thank you for your help there, Nick.
You're welcome.
Item 14, Mrs. Frank.
Resolution to approve CGB AV Datacon Solutions to provide technical support and live stream.
Is there a motion, a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. So this is an extension for another year of an agreement with Chris Bird, who the last 2 years now has done our meetings, AV, technical support, so that we can live stream and so the public can be more informed about what we're voting on and what's going on in terms of the city. So the document is not loading on Dropbox for me, but realistically, this is same terms and conditions, same pricing that we've had for the life of it. So nothing has changed from that regard. And I'll just say before any comments, questions, Chris, appreciate you continuing to do this, willing to do this. It's been very much appreciated, helpful. You're really easy to work with. And I'm grateful for that. Grateful for your expertise. Any comments or questions? All right, you can see none. Mrs. Frank, item 14.
Mr. Allison.
Yes.
Mr. Mackey.
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi.
Yes.
Ms. Mealy.
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 15, Mrs. Frank.
Resolution to approve the advertisement for sale of personal property.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Mayor Slaughter, welcome back to the podium, sir.
Thank you. Good evening again, President Yoder, members of council administration. This is just an advertisement for the notification of sale. This is the rail car that sits behind the patrol that's been there for a long time. We've had some interest recently. And so we worked with Attorney Hauser on the best way to go through this process. And this is the process he said would be the easiest and the best. So this is just a resolution to advertise. I think it has to run, I believe, for 10 days. And then people can submit, not submit, and go from there. So this is just for that rail car that has been sitting there. And this is not to sell it. This is just notice of advertisement.
Any comments or questions from members? Okay, hearing and seeing none, Mrs. Frank, item 15.
Mr. Allison.
Yes.
Mr. Mackey.
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi.
Yes.
Ms. Mealy.
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 16, Mrs. Frank.
Resolution between the city of Williamsport and UPMC for installation of bicycle safety.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Ms. Fessler, good evening.
Yes, good evening. I'm presenting this tonight on behalf of Scott Williams.
This is essentially an MOU between the city of Williamsport and UPMC. So we are 1 year out from last year's budget session when Councilwoman Mealy made this suggestion that we potentially put something in the city budget to start to explore a bike lane program. And Councilman Biter had suggested that perhaps we would explore the use of CDBG funds to do that instead of city budget funds. So we have done that. And we are developing this project, and as part of doing so, this MOU is before you. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of background about the project. So we'll be installing pavement markings and signs on about 4 miles of low-volume city streets, connecting neighborhoods on the east side to Shaw Park, Brandon Park, and the pedestrian bridge over 180 at Water Tower Square. So we'll be coordinating this program to complete at the time that the mountain bike course at Shaw Park, the pump track project, comes to an end. So we're coordinating those projects. So Loyalsock Township is currently completing a pathway called Miller's Run Greenway, which is going to run parallel to Northway Road. So they're doing that to connect their parks and schools as well. So the most direct connection between Shaw Park and Miller's Run Greenway would be through the UPMC Divine Campus. So Mayor Slaughter, Bill Scott, and Scott Williams have been meeting with UPMC and the representatives from Loyalsock to discuss, the best way to accomplish this. Loyalsock Township is working on doing a similar pavement marking and signage program on their section of Loyalsock. And then all of the work that we're doing will just be on city-owned streets with CDBG money, and a portion of it will be on that UPMC Divine Campus. So this MOU basically outlines the relationship between us and UPMC. You have it in front of you so you can see what the expectations of the city are and what the expectations of UPMC are.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions from members? Ms. Mealy?
What is the, just had it here, the city ordinance 51108, city code section 51108 with respect, says the city shall take reasonable efforts to enforce its ordinances, including city code section 511.08 with respect to the bicycle friendly route.
I believe that that's a city ordinance about bike operation and safety in the city.
Okay, I was hoping it was that.
Yes.
I was also possibly hoping that we could discuss and or implement a plan to better enforce bicycle safety in the city, full stop. Do I understand that somebody was, this is not necessarily on a bicycle, but that there was an injury to someone on maybe a motorcycle at the intersection of Lilly Boulevard?
I think it was.
Yeah,
I
mortality,
think it
right?
was,
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah, fatality, that's what I thought. That was a motorcycle, however, not, okay, all right, that's good.
An e-bike, right?
It was an e-bike? That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know I've been saying this for a while, but if the state's not going to do a better job of I mean, a lot of it has been legislated, but we are not enforcing things like lights on bikes, things like lights on e-bikes, things like helmets. We need to figure out, I think, a mechanism, because the enforcement goes both ways. There are a lot of drivers with great animosity toward cyclists, and
Good evening.
yeah.
Yeah, so with the officers that we do have that are working, they actually do address a lot of the bicycle issues.
Okay.
Specifically, especially not lighted at night. So you'll see officers quite often stopping, reinforcing what our laws are, and making sure that we do have bike safety. Again, we do have a police department that is running from call to call. So as they do have that, they will do that. Plus, we also have officers on bikes that are out addressing these concerns and issues more and more often, especially in the summer months.
Yeah, and thank you, and I'm very glad to hear that.
And we'll continue to do so.
Yeah, I also do feel like it cuts both ways. One thing is, I mean, yes, obviously people who are cycling without proper protections, right? But the bigger threat obviously is the people in the cars.
Yes.
Right. So if they are moving too quickly on city streets or going over the speed limit, I guess what I'm asking, and it coordinates with the police, but I'm also thinking that it doesn't need to exclusively come from the police, but that we as a city need to develop and implement a bike safety program that, that works maybe in concert with the schools to teach kids about bike safety and how to bike safe, because the number of times I see people biking the wrong way down city streets and kids biking right up the middle, you know what I mean? Like there are a whole bunch of moving parts in this plan, and it doesn't just fall on the police, and it doesn't, but
Wholeheartedly agree. And
yeah.
honestly, I would love to help spearhead an education program for that with the other entities that are
Why don't we
available.
try, before we hit peak bike season next summer, why don't we
Sure.
try and sit down with the school district and see if we can't try to, I mean, because,
And community groups and some other
right,
folks.
exactly,
Yeah.
we could, I think if we, yeah, broadened it and tried to get, fire tree and, right, at least you could begin training the next generation of cyclists who are going to be dangerous on city streets to do it better.
Agree.
And
I also think that in the past, we've had partnerships with LCHEC, like was it Healthy Kids? I can't think of the actual acronym, what the name is, but they do a lot of bike derbies, bike helmets, and we've worked with them in the past, and we can re-up that. They're a state department, or they're a Pennsylvania Department of Transportation entity that comes in and helps with that too. So they usually give out free bike helmets at a lot of events, and we can also make sure that those, and reflectors and other bike safety materials. So again, we have partners that we can collaborate with too.
that'd be awesome. So we've
All right.
got some connections established. I think
Yes.
that'd be a great thing.
Yeah, we've done it plenty of times
Yeah.
in the past, and we're more than happy to continue.
I mean, yeah, I can't imagine what a pain in the butt it is as a cop to have to you know, address something like a person with no bike light. On the other hand, I think that is part of the role, but to me.
No
it's
problem
more about
addressing it if it
prevention.
keeps them from getting hurt. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
right, exactly.
Yeah. But thanks.
All right, thank you.
I'll just add a reminder that we did sign our contract for our federal Safe Streets and Roads for All grant, and that will be also not just focused on, vehicle safety, but also on pedestrian and bike safety. So we're hoping for some great recommendations to come out of that as well.
Fantastic, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right, hearing and seeing none, then Mrs. Frank, item 16, please.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Mackey,
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
Yes,
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 17, except for filing Water Sanitary Authority meeting minutes from September 2025, July Controllers Report. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, questions on the minutes for filing? Hearing and seeing none, Mrs. Frank, item 17, please.
Mr. Allison.
Yes.
Mr. Mackey.
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi,
Yes.
Ms. Mealy,
yes,
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 18, announcements. Our next regularly scheduled city council meeting will be Thursday, December 11th here, Trade and Transit 2, 3rd floor, 7 p.m. That will be our last scheduled meeting for the year. Additional upcoming meetings, Monday, December 8th, we will have a special meeting at 7 p.m. here, Trade and Transit 2 for treasurer interviews. As I mentioned, Thursday, December 11th is our final voting meeting for the year. Monday, January 5th, at 7 p.m. is our reorganizational meeting. That will be at the Community Theater League, first floor of Trade and Transit 1 due to a scheduling conflict. And then our first meeting of the calendar year in 2026 is Thursday, January 8th. Before comments, I'll announce 2 executive sessions. There was an executive session related to legal matters on Tuesday, November 25th. And then we will also be having a brief executive session following the meeting related to additional legal matters in real estate. Is there any comments from the public? Are there any comments from members of council? Any comments from the administration this evening? Yes.
Just the Christmas market. I just wanted to announce that starts tomorrow. from 1 to 7, and then Saturday from 11 to 7. So there's lots of vendors and, you know, kids' activities and all of that. And at, I think, 6, somewhere in that vicinity, 5 to 6, the kids can make lanterns. We're going to walk, and then we'll walk from the German Christmas market over to the green to light the Christmas tree and all of that. So it should be a good time, a lot of fun, a lot of work has gone into it. First Community Foundation supported it with a grant as well. The huts look great. They're up. If you drive by over there at Lake Coming College, the huts are up and it looks really like a German market. So it's kind of cool to see. So I invite everybody to come out to that. When's that? Oh, the Newberry tree lighting, Wednesday at 6. I know Councilman Yoder usually comes to that. This Wednesday? This one's coming Wednesday?
Yep.
All right, so it's coming Wednesday at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
What's that? Oh. No, I look, I mean, I'll add an additional plug for the Newberry tree lighting. It's a great event. They light the tree, they get a tree. The city in the past has helped. Grateful for that. On the corner of 3rd and I'm forgetting the street, but it's right by Arch. Thank you.
Yeah,
And then sing a couple Christmas carols, super fun. And then they've got a excellent Santa over in the lobby of Brodart. It's a blast. So definitely check it out. Definitely check it out. All right. Motion and a second for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?